Hey guys, it's David with The Verge, and we're here looking at the new LG G2, which was just announced here in New York City. So from a hardware perspective, this phone is a lot like the Samsung Galaxy S4. It's a little bit bigger, it has a 5.2-inch screen, it's also 1080p, and it looks really great. The screen is bigger, but the phone itself is actually about the same size. But one thing that's really interesting is that the buttons, both the power and the volume buttons, are on the back. You can also long press the volume down button to launch straight into the camera, or press up to go straight into the quick memo. The quick memo is one of a huge list of software features on this. LG basically took the same approach as Samsung and just crammed all the software it could possibly think of into this phone. So quick memo lets you take a screenshot or just doodle notes. It's a really handy way to just quickly get a note down on the phone. It's also one of a bunch of apps that LG has that will actually pop over whatever you're doing. So you can take a memo or see your calendar or use a calculator over top of another app. And you can use a bunch of them. You can handle the transparency. You can really do a bunch of things at once on this phone, and it seems to work really well. It's running a Snapdragon 800 processor, which is insanely fast, and it has 2 gigs of RAM, and all in all makes the G2 seem like a pretty fast phone. It has a 13-megapixel camera, again, just like the GS4, and for the most part, it's basically just like the GS4. It has tons of modes. There's a dual camera mode that lets you shoot with the front and back camera at the same time. There is one cool feature called VR Panorama, which lets you take a 360-degree photo and actually pan around it just by moving your body or scrolling around on the screen. It's a little like Google Street View, and it's actually pretty fun. It's kind of hard to get the photo right, but it's cool. There are a bunch of little tweaks to the operating system. One is called Slide to Access, and basically what it lets you do is store apps off to the left side of your screen using 3 fingers. Just swipe an app over, and it just lives there in its sort of own separate multitasking menu. One of the coolest tweaks to the operating system is how the G2 handles guest mode. Instead of having a bunch of different, totally distinct profiles, you just unlock the phone with a different pattern for yourself or for a guest. And if you use the guest pattern, it just shows a few apps and a few settings and whatever you've enabled. It's a really clever way of handling being able to just give somebody your phone and let them make a phone call. So in all, the G2 reminds me a lot of the GS4. It's a ton of software features. It's not particularly exciting hardware, though LG is doing a couple of interesting things here with the buttons on the back. But really the move here is software. The quick memo stuff, there's the remote that you can use and even offers the remote in the notification pull down. There's a ton of options, a ton of menus, a lot going on, but ultimately a lot you can do as well. The G2 is coming to all 4 carriers, and it's going to be a very different phone depending on how you want to set it up. So obviously we've only just gotten to know this phone, but it's clear that this is not trying to compete with something like the iPhone or the Moto X. This is very much a kitchen sink kind of phone like the Samsung Galaxy S4. It has all the features you want, probably dozens and dozens more, and really, if you're a tinkerer, can be almost anything you want, which is probably going to be a lot of fun for some people.